What's up, everybody? We've got announcement time for you. So I know you're super pumped for that, but I do need you to listen because it's going to be a little different than it usually is. We're actually changing, just about everything. So please listen up because we got some changes we're throwing at you and they're going to start this week. First, on Mondays, we're going to be doing 1-minute devotionals. That's not going to be led by us. You guys are going to lead that, and you're going to talk about whatever you're passionate about, whatever God's laying on your heart, and you're going to share that. You guys will send those to us, and then we'll post it on the Wellspring student account. So we're really pumped for that because we get to see what God's doing in your life and see how God is going to use you. So I'm really, really excited for that. And then on Wednesday, we are still doing our Bible studies, but we're not going to be doing a video chat anymore. We're actually going to be moving it to an app called GroupMe. So we'll be able to talk about it, and we'll be able to talk about it throughout the week. And we'll be using the Bible app to do our Bible studies, but it'll just all be through this GroupMe app, which allows us to text about it, and a little bit easier on your schedules, I believe. And then lastly, we are doing Chillin' Fridays, but it's going to be now every other Friday. So this Friday, and it's going to be at 8 p.m. So this Friday at 8 p.m., we're going to be meeting together, hanging out, chilling, doing some fun things. So be sure to join us. And the reason we're doing this is because really when all this happened, school was closed. There's a lot of just empty free time. And so we thought that's a great time for us to focus in on Jesus, but also have some fun too. So now with school, that's kind of thrown a wrench into some things. And so we want you guys to focus in on that. But we also want to have some fun and still connect. So that's why we're doing those changes, and we'll discuss it more on Zoom when we get to that time. So we'll see you guys soon. Love y'all. Y'all rock. Enjoy the lesson. Welcome everyone to week 3 of our series, Jesus Is. So we're going to jump off with a crazy question. Have you ever lied before? Let me know in the comments. And if you have a funny story to go along with it, go ahead and tell it. So have you ever lied before? And if you have a funny story to go along with it, go ahead and let me know now. When I was in high school, I was in charge of getting something together for a school bash. And so what I decided to do was get it a dunking booth because I would love to just throw a ball, dunk our teachers, especially some of the ones that didn't like. So I was super excited about it. I got it there the day of and I had to take it back the next day. So I stayed at a friend's house to just make that a little bit easier on me. And so the next day came and I went to take back the dunking booth. And so I hop in my car early in the morning and I go to back out of my friend's driveway. And as I do, my car kind of like stops a little bit and then it makes this weird noise. So it's like that feeling that you have like something happened. You have this sinking feeling that it's bad, but it was early in the morning. So I ignored it. I was like, maybe I hit a cat. I don't know. So I pulled out, went and dropped off the dunking booth, came back and got out of my truck. And I looked over at my friend's car that was parked beside my truck. And I said, that giant gash was not there last night. I don't think it was there this morning. I'm pretty sure that I hit my friend's car. And so there was this massive gash that was in between, right in the back of his bumper. And so I was like, interesting. So I went in and said, hey man, this wasn't there last night. And when I came out this morning, it was there. I don't know how it got there, because I wanted to save my own skin. I didn't really want to get in trouble more for my parents' sake. And so I didn't want to hurt our friendship as well. And said, maybe we should go check that out. So my friend is like heartbroken because he had worked really hard to get this car. And now, like a month after owning it, there's just this giant gash that he knows he can't really fix at the moment. So an hour later, I was like, I can't keep going with this lie. And so I told him, came out with the truth, and thankfully he was kind and forgave me. But I know that lying is something that we probably all do. I'm not great at lying, and it really eats away at me if I can deceive you, and I don't like it. So, but let me ask you a question. If you were to get caught in a lie, you have three options to do, really. Like, one, you can double down on your lie, add in a bunch of random details, really just dig your feet in and say, no, this is the truth. Secondly, you could kind of like make up a new story, and now it's kind of like you are telling the truth because you're coming out and saying, but it's now really kind of a lie. So you're coming up with a new story. It's not the truth. Coming out with a new story, or do you just come out and tell them the truth? So if you were to get caught in a lie, would you double down in that lie? Would you tell a new story, or would you, like me, go ahead and tell the truth because you're not great at lying? So let me know in the comments, and we'll see you soon. So while we're on the topic of lying, I figured it would probably also be a good time to look at just some crazy headlines and pieces of news now, thanks to Trump, known as fake news. So we're going to kind of take a little poll, and I want to see what you guys think. Do you think that this is fake, or is this real? So there's two options that you can comment. I'm going to give you a couple seconds for you to tell me if it's fake or if it's real. And so let's look at some of these just most ridiculous stories. Here we go. A bear breaks into a car and drives down a hill in Colorado. Is that fake or is that real? Bear breaks into a car and drives down the road. Real or fake? For some of you that said real, that is the truth. A bear did break into a car and somehow managed to drive down a hill in Colorado. Only in Colorado. Am I right? Second, the Boeing CEO admits that the company made a mistake by accidentally including an automatic self-destruct function on all of their 737 MAX airplanes. Is that fake or is that real? Let me know now. It's fake news. No, of course they're not going to do that, you bunch of sillies. Let's keep going to their story. Next. This, I literally busted out laughing when I read this, okay? Gillette recalls razors because they're too sharp. Gillette recalls their razors because they're too sharp. Is that real or fake? Let me know. For some of you that said real, that's what's up about it so funny. That is truth. Their razors were too sharp and they had to end up recalling some of them. So that is real. Here we go. Next story. Maze with cheese in the center enters human trials following decades of testing on mice. So let me say that again. That's a mouthful. Maze with cheese in the center of the maze enters human trials following decades of testing with mice. Is that real news or is that fake news? Let me know. Yes, that is fake news. No, of course that wouldn't enter human trials, you bunch of sillies. That is fake news. Let's keep going. Report that all U.S. spacecraft are to be replaced with high-speed trains by 2030. All U.S. aircrafts are going to be replaced by high-speed trains by 2030. What do you guys think? It sounds plausible, but it is not. It is fake news. Next one. A family making funeral plans for relatives are shocked when he shows up at a barbecue. A family making funeral plans for relatives are shocked when that guy shows up to the barbecue. Let me know what you think. Is that real news or is that fake? It is real. Wouldn't that be nuts to be there and you're just mourning and you're connecting with your family, and then lo and behold, the guy shows up that you're supposed to be mourning. It's crazy. All right, last one. Here we go. A heat wave cooks mussels, kind of like oysters, in their shells on California shore. The heat wave in California cooks mussels in their shells on California shore. That's pretty nuts, right? Is that real or is that fake? It is real news. Isn't that nuts? If you guys like oysters, you can go to California and get some for free. So that is just a ton of different news articles on the internet. But what the crazy thing is like we had to struggle a little bit and think about, like, is that real or is that fake? Because there's so much misinformation out there, and there's so many false truths and real truths and things that kind of sound like they're real and kind of not. And so we're having to figure out what is true and what is not. And so that does a lot with our relationship with truth, because sometimes now it doesn't really help us to trust what we hear. And so how's your relationship with truth? Like, that sounds really weird, I know, but how are you doing? Like, when you hear something and it sounds good, or it sounds like it could be true, do you hit that when you're like, I don't know, I gotta think about it? Or do you kind of sit back and you're like, no, I'm not gonna believe it until I can see it, until I can touch it, until I can look at it? How do you interact with things when you hear it? Do you automatically, you're a pretty trusting person? What's your relationship with truth? See, a lot of people nowadays, when they start looking, they don't even believe that the truth exists. And we think that's kind of new, but it's actually not. People have struggled with this idea of truth for years and years and years, thousands of years, in fact. And so let's look at Pontius Pilate and Jesus as Pontius Pilate struggles with the truth. We're going to be in John 18:28-38. My man, Josh, go ahead and take that off and read that for us, please.
Jesus' trial before Pilate. Jesus' trial before Caiaphas ended in the early hours of the morning. Then he was taken to the headquarters of the Roman governor. His accusers didn't go inside because it would defile them, and they wouldn't be allowed to celebrate the Passover. So Pilate, the governor, went out and asked them, "What is your charge against this man?" "We wouldn't have handed him over to you if he weren't a criminal," they retorted. "Then take him away and judge him by your own law," Pilate told them. "Only the Romans are permitted to execute someone," the Jewish leaders replied. This fulfilled Jesus' prediction about the way he would die. Then Pilate went back into his headquarters and called for Jesus to be brought to them. "Are you the king of the Jews?" he asked them. Jesus replied, "Is this your own question, or did someone tell you about me?" "Am I a Jew?" Pilate retorted. "Your own people, their leading priests, brought you to me for a trial. Why? What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this earthly kingdom. If it were, my followers would fight to keep me from being handed over to the Jewish leaders. My kingdom is not of this world." Pilate said, "So you are a king?" Jesus responded, "You say I am a king. Actually, I was born and came into this world to testify the truth. All who love the truth recognize what I say is true." "What is truth?" Pilate asked. Then he went out to the people and told them, "He is not guilty for any crime." Thank you. Stay safe, go Lions.
Thank you, Josh, for reading that for us. That's a pretty crazy story, though, right? Jesus and Pontius Pilate are in this crazy discussion. And what's happened up to that point is that the religious leaders of that day did not like Jesus at all. They could not stand him because Jesus was challenging them. The people were starting to finally enter these relationships with God. And now they were kind of being removed out of the picture. All this power and all this fame that they had accumulated over the years, Jesus had come and just completely wiped that out. And so the religious leaders wanted revenge. And the only way that they could really do that was to kill Jesus. But there was a problem. The religious leaders during that day, because the Roman government was in control, could not kill Jesus. So what they did was to push him and now give him to the government and say, hey, Roman governor Pontius Pilate, there's this guy that's coming to try to take over and overthrow the Roman government in Israel, to do this rebellion. And so that's this whole discussion that Pontius Pilate's in. And Pontius Pilate is like kind of freaking out at this point because Pilate doesn't want anything to do with it. Like, he has pushed Jesus off on like 2 different rulers at this time, saying, hey, you go deal with that. You deal with this person. I don't want to touch Jesus with a 10-foot pole because this is just freaking me out. And now it's come time where Pilate has to make that decision. Jesus gets thrown back to him time and time again. And so now Jesus and Pilate are having this discussion because Pilate's got to figure out, is Jesus guilty of what they're saying, or are the religious leaders just being crazy and Pilate just needs to deal with the religious leaders more so than they do Jesus? And so that's where we're in the middle of. And, in a way that only Jesus can, Pontius Pilate asks Jesus a question. Jesus doesn't answer the question. He responds with a question with a question. Only Jesus can get away with doing that. But it's amazing because what it starts to reveal is at the end of this conversation, Pilate gets so frustrated, so confused that he says, what is truth? Now that's a pretty big question that we all kind of struggle with. Like, what is our truth? What are we following after? What are we pursuing? What is it that I should give my life to? And Pilate asked that question because at this point, Pilate is so stressed out, so frustrated, so confused at the whole situation that you see this glimpse into his heart, and he's very open and honest, and he says, what is truth? So my question for you is the same that Pontius Pilate asked. What is truth? If you had to sit down and define that, if you had to look at it, if you had to wrestle with it, and someone said, hey, what is truth? How would you define that? What would that look like for you? Because it's pretty interesting on how Jesus brings up this idea of truth. And what he says is not an idea at all. It's actually a person. And we're going to see that here in John 14, 1 through 7. At this point, Jesus' disciples are really kind of freaked out. And Jesus gives them this guide. And he comes out and he says that I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. Let's go ahead and read that. Zoe, would you please read that for me, please?
John 14, 1 through 7. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And where I go, you know, and the way you know. Thomas said to him, Lord, we do not know where you are going, and how can we know the way? Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had seen me, you would have known my Father also. And from now on, you know him and have seen him.
So Jesus, in this moment, comes out with something pretty crazy. Jesus' disciples are freaked out because at this point in John 14, Jesus' disciples are starting to see that the religious leaders, they don't just not like Jesus, like they hate Jesus. And there's always a stir wherever Jesus goes. And so it's kind of freaking them out a little bit. And Jesus gives them this to comfort them a little bit. But in a way that only Jesus can, he comes at them with something a little different. And he comes out and he says, I'm the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. I'm going to prepare a house, a way for you to be with my Father. And they're really confused by that because they're like, Jesus, like you didn't give us a map. I don't know how to get there. And so that's what they ask him. And Jesus says, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. This is nuts. Like Jesus doesn't come out and just make some kind of crazy claim. Like he's saying that all truth is found in him. And if you want to know what the truth is, not just a truth, then you look to him. He is the truth that defines every single other truth. And so if we are looking as believers to our life, then that means we need to be looking to Jesus because he is not just a truth, not just a idea, but he is the truth. And so it starts to tear down some of our walls because really in our life, we hear so many different truths. We hear so many different things. We hear facts, and those are true, and then we hear what other people believe. And so there's so many things that are just thrown at us, and we're trying to figure out what's going on, what to give our life to, what are we going to base our life on? And Jesus comes and he says, look, I am the truth. I am the life. I am the way. And so if you were to sit down and think about it, like, what would you say that Jesus is to you? Is he just a truth? Is he something that you just do to get by? Is he just something that you do on Sundays or just to appease your parents? Is it something that your parents hold on to that maybe you don't hold on to, or maybe you have a lot of questions? And so he's not the truth to you. He might just be a truth to you. And so Jesus comes out and this is a super controversial statement. And so it's so controversial that it just starts to tear down some walls for the disciples. And I think it tear down the wall for us because we look at that and we say, okay, what does this mean? So let me ask you a question. Let me put that ball in your court. Why do you think that Jesus's comment that he is the way, the truth, and the life, why do you think that's controversial? Go ahead and let me know. I'm going to give us a little bit extra time. Why do you think that that is so controversial, that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life? Go ahead and comment now. Those were some really good answers. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Really, if we're honest, maybe some of those answers are our own answers. And we have some real struggles because we like to be the king, the queen of our own life and do things our own way. And there's some real struggles that they have, but catch this, in that passage, Jesus just kind of throws it out there and lets that sink in. He doesn't beat them over the head with it. He doesn't get angry at them. He doesn't get upset with them. He just throws that out there and lets them wrestle with that for a little bit. And I think he's inviting us to do the same thing. He's inviting you to do the same thing. He says, I'm the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. He says those three things, and then he kind of just lets it go. So in your life, you have some time to wrestle with that and how you should relate to it and how you should look to Jesus. And so the beautiful thing is that what Jesus is saying in that is that, hey, here's this map to have this relationship, this thing that you're longing for, and the map is me. The map is Jesus. I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. If you want to find life, if you want to find the way that your life should be based on, if you want to find the truth that defines everything for your life, that gives you meaning and purpose, Jesus is saying, look at me. And we know that because he's going to give up his life for us. If you want to have this relationship with God, if you want to even live past that, then you have to go through me because I'm the one that pays for you to have that relationship with Jesus. I'm the one that actually brings you freedom to follow me and to find meaning in your life. And this is what he says in John 8:32. Avery, if you don't mind, would you please read that for me? Thanks.
Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.
All right. Thank you, Avery. We know that Jesus loved truth, and he refers to himself as truth multiple times. And in this, he says, if you know the truth, then you will find freedom. Truth will set you free. Jesus comes out later and says he is that truth. And so what his whole goal is to set us free. What are we being set free from? It's amazing because Jesus' goal in your life is to experience life to the fullest. That's his whole goal. In John 10:10, he says that I have come that you may have life to the abundant. And so there's a beautiful thing in this because Jesus is encouraging and pushing us and saying that I've come to provide you freedom from the power of death and sin, that you're no longer a slave to sin, that you're no longer a slave to have to do these things that you know that you shouldn't and you struggle with and the power of sin in your life. He's saying, I've come to set you free from how you relate to other people, how you relate to God, these lies that you hold on to so close into your life. Jesus said, I've come to set you free. And when I set you free, you will experience life. And that is something amazing and something that we are made at the very core of who we are to be and to do. And here's the big thing though. Jesus says that he is the truth and the way, meaning that we can't find those things. We can't find the freedom that we're looking for. We can't find the meaning and purpose and drive that we're looking for unless we look to him. And here's our struggle, is that we look to so many other things. We look to our friends, to our popularity, to how we're doing in sports, how we're doing in school, what maybe living up to our parents' standards. We look for so many different things to give us meaning, purpose, excitement, drive, joy, happiness in our life. And Jesus is saying, you're never going to find that freedom. You're never going to find that life unless you come to me. And Jesus is saying, I'm here to give you life now. And so that's the question that I'm going to leave you with as we end the night. What do you believe about Jesus? Is he a truth to you? Is he a way to you? Or is he the truth? Do you find yourself looking to maybe buying a ton of things, or maybe if you can get this person to like you, if I can date somebody, if I can do whatever it is that can give my life meaning, whatever I have my eyes set on, that like if I can just get this, my life would be completely and forever changed. Are you looking to that to Jesus, or are you looking at that for other things? Because Jesus is saying, if you're looking over here, you're never going to find it. But if you want to come and find life, you come to me. How do you view Jesus? Is he a truth to you? Is he a way to you? Is he a life to you? Or do you find him, you find yourself leaning more towards, God is my truth. He is my way. He is the truth. He's going to define everything about me. Jesus is inviting you on that journey, and you're going to wrestle through that. And that's a beautiful thing, because Jesus can handle it. Jesus wants you to be able to experience those things, and he's there to support you every single step of the way. Where are you tonight? Where are you in how you view Jesus? Let's pray. Jesus, thank you for this time together. God, you redefine everything for us. Lord, you love us, you pursue us, and God, you change every single thing about us. God, help us to look to you as the way, the truth, and the life, not as a way, a truth, and a life, but the defining thing about us. Jesus, we love you and we praise you, and thank you so much for doing all of that for us, that you think about us, that you love us, that you sing over us, and that you provide that freedom. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. All right, guys, you know the drill by now. So in the comment section, in the video description, you're going to see our links to Zoom. Go ahead and click into those things, and we'll see you in a few minutes for small groups. Have a good night.